Today we're going to be discussing all of the books which I dived into in the month of January. There are only a handful to discuss here today, but I'm still excited to share them with you all. So grab yourself your most warming hot drink, a cozy blanket, and let's get to discussing the reads of January. Beginning with the stats, I read 4 books in the month of January, which is equivalent to 1,497 pages. All of them were read physically, and then splitting that up into rating, I had 1 3.5 stars, 2 4 stars, and 1 4.5 stars. So let's get into discussing all of the books and some of the themes that they encapsulated. Beginning with my 3.5 stars, we first have Now She Is a Witch. This had themes of witches, gruesome elements, stories, shifting perspectives, play on realities, and womanhood. I have some questions that I feel were unresolved after this book, and I feel as though it felt a bit like a fever dream. It didn't have a certain ending and it didn't wrap it up, and it feels very like it was left on a cliffhanger, kind of, but more of the fact that I wanted more depth in the story to explain how we got to this resolution. But overall it was a really fun and kind of gothic-y read, and if any of those themes sound interesting to you, then I recommend Now She Is Witch. Moving on to my 4-star reads, we have A Venom So Dark and Sweet. This is the second book to A Magic Steeped in Poison, so I don't want to go into it too much, but in terms of the themes that this included, it has Chinese tea and magic, myths and legends, romantic relationships, family and friendship, adventure. I loved the exploration of the Chinese mythology and also the romantic aspect in it, but it didn't overshadow it. I feel as though it was a really unconventional ending as well, but it was still a really enjoyable ride, and it was, like I say, packed full of that adventure. So if any of these themes sound interesting to you, then I recommend this whole duology. My next 4-star read was Self-Care. This had themes of social media, the truth behind that girl, modern feminism, a chaotic storyline, felt anxiety inducing, and an unresolved ending. It felt like the book could have looped back from the beginning, and I explained this in my vlog in which I was reading it in. I feel as though it was one of those reels that when you finish the book you could just flip it back over and start again, and it would just be the same story going back and forward, which I thought was a really interesting writing technique. I don't know if that was the intention whatsoever, but that's just how it translated on the page to me. And yeah, I found it really interesting. It was just one of those chaotic feminism books in which it had that female element in it, and it's sort of like this unhinged female narrator, and I'm just absolutely adoring those types of stories at the moment. So if those things do sound interesting to you, then I recommend Self-Care. And we have my final book that I have to share with you today. I told you it's only a little wrap up today. I did only read 4 books in the month of January. I feel as though they were good reads though, so I'm not sad about that, but I did have a very stressful time this month, so I'm just glad that I managed to read anything at all. So moving on, we have Portrait of a Thief, which was the Bunnies book club pick for the month of January. So this is very fitting that it's my highest rated book out of the lot of this, and I just absolutely adored it. So in terms of the themes that this encapsulated, it had heist, but more of a discussion of the rightful ownership of art. Then it had a discussion of history and immigration, flawed characters fighting for something that they believe in, fractured relationships, found family, Chinese art, and museums. And wow, I feel as though this book was just so amazing. It felt like I was just reading so many different layers to a book. I was reading it there for the mystery, I was reading it there for the trauma aspect of these characters, and they all felt so in depth, and we were flipping perspectives and point of views, and I feel as though the writing was just so amazing to be able to get so into grips with these characters, with this being part of a mystery and part of a whole different plot, but you understand all of these characters' feelings and thoughts despite them shifting perspective all the time, and I feel as though that just shows what good writing is. I did see that this book had a lot of, like, not negative but not the best reviews, and I feel as though this is just one of those books in which I just don't understand why, because I just thought it was really, really good. And yeah, I just definitely recommend it if those themes sound interesting to you. And then once you've read it, I recommend going to watch my Bunnies book club pick, a spoiler-filled vlog for Portrait of a Thief for the month of January, as I share all of my in-depth thoughts and obviously spoilers in there as well. So yeah, those are all of the books in which I did read in the month of January. Small but mighty, I would like to say. Here's hopefully to a better reading month in February. Yeah, Life has just been a little much lately, but I'm just grateful that I get any sort of reading done. So thank you ever so much for joining me on this adventure, friends. I would love to hear all of the books that you dived into in the month of January, and I hope wherever you are and whatever you're doing, you have a wonderful day or night. Until next time, bye.